want to start with Aaron Rodgers, and I want to start with the fact that their coach got fired. Doesn't seem that defense was their number one problem. Aaron Rodgers ain't playing well, and I'm not saying the NFL is fair, but does the guy get the short end of the stick because Rodgers ain't playing well?
The owner had a conversation with Aaron Rodgers the night before, and he said he didn't bring this up.
He had a conversation with Aaron Rodgers about removing the head coach and the offensive coordinator going to the booth. He didn't talk to him about it at all. They talked about everything else?
Yes.
So why lie and disrespect us all? Like, don't say anything. All right, guys, welcome to Fully Loaded, our 20th podcast. Seems like it's been a lot more, but our 20th. I'm here with my buddy Cris Carter. How you doing, bud?
When I first met you, I didn't think we had more than 3 in this. So
Did you what you thought? You thought we'd make it a 3, though? It is funny when you meet people. It is funny what you think about them.
But I did read that you're not even on the map until you do at least 50.
Well, we're going to get 50. I didn't read that, but now we're on our, so we're not even on the map yet.
Less than 90% of all podcasts never reach 50 episodes.
Well, guess what? This one's roaring after 20.
Okay.
And so, by the way, thank you for that. Subscribe, like, share, get it to somebody who ain't seen it. You definitely want to hear what we talk about.
Yes.
You want to hear what Cris has to say. I want to start, Cris, my friend, with the Jets. I want to start with Aaron Rodgers, and I want to start with the fact that their coach got fired. And first I want to start by asking you a question because I thought about this, and I haven't watched enough, so I don't know if this happens a lot. Somebody asked me, were you surprised that he got fired? And I said, dude, I thought when Aaron Rodgers was referring to him as Robert, I thought that was a problem. You're a Hall of Famer. I'm going to get to the Jet stuff. Your coaches, were they coach? Were they your first name? Did it matter at all if you liked him? Like, I used to call my father Larry. You want to know why? Because I didn't think he earned the right to be called Dad. I was an immature asshole, and I called him Larry, even though he was my father.
Right.
And then I had to kind of – so did Aaron Rodgers ever give this guy a shot? And it had nothing to do with Aaron Rodgers. Did he get fired because the Jets – why did he get fired, and how much of a role did Rodgers play in it, if any, in your opinion?
Well, I do believe there are things behind the scenes there in New York that we're not going to know about till maybe years from now.
Okay.
Because at 2-3, I was at the game in London. They were playing the Vikings.
Great team, by the way.
Aaron Rodgers looked horrible.
Okay.
Like, he looked horrible. But the one thing that we have to look back on, and people are so trapped into what's going on right now.
Correct.
Aaron Rodgers was not good the last 2 years in Green Bay.
Okay.
The offense was not good.
Okay.
So the NFL has kind of caught up to him, meaning they have a book on him. And now they have the least amount of motion pre-snap. That means any football player on the offensive side that motions that would give you an indicator of is it man or is it zone.
Okay.
But it also puts more pressure on the defense that we're not going to just stand here in one position and we're better than you, we're going to out-execute you.
Gotcha.
Aaron Rodgers, it's been known, he doesn't like pre-snap movement. He doesn't like motion. And when you're playing against a team, Brian Flores and the Vikings, I mean, they made them look silly.
It was painful to watch.
Like, they really made. And at this point in his career, he should be more of a football savant than he is. And maybe that is the answer of why he's gotten the 4 MVPs and only 1 Super Bowl compared to Peyton Manning, compared to Tom Brady, these other people that have compiled these numbers but have figured it out in the playoffs, which Aaron has not been able to do.
So what do you think stops him from being this football, use that word a lot, savant? What is stopping Aaron Rodgers from doing it? Because he has the ability to do it. He has the knowledge to do it.
I don't know that. To me, very few elite quarterbacks ever start their career at a junior college.
Okay.
So for me, academically, what was going on that he couldn't get into a 4-year school? Because he had the arm talent.
Yeah, no doubt.
So he comes out there, he goes to Cal.
And he's smart.
I don't know that.
Okay. I say he is, so we don't know if he is.
I'm just going to tell you, quarterbacks that tell me I want it simple are not the smartest quarterbacks.
Got it.
So for me, I think that Aaron Rodgers has hit the glass ceiling as far as talent.
Okay.
And now the scheme is not helping him.
Okay.
So to me, he's just an average quarterback with that scheme and the talent that they have with the Jets.
So the coach, who I believe is like a defensive guy, and the defense doesn't
The
seem
head coach, yes.
The head coach doesn't seem that defense was their number one problem. Aaron Rodgers ain't playing well, and I'm not saying the NFL is fair, but does the guy get the short end of the stick because Rodgers ain't playing well, and somebody's got to go?
Well, when you bring in someone like Aaron Rodgers who's 40, and then he gets hurt, everything's on Aaron. So if they had played bad last year, the coach would have got fired last year.
But why didn't he get fired?
Because the Achilles.
Okay, but Rodgers didn't play last year. How did the Jets play last year?
They were terrible.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, but the coach wasn't overly bad based on the talent that they had. So now you get into the season, you're a third of the way through, and you decide, I'm going to let him go. To me, there had to be other things going on before the season started that also, I have a friend in the business that told me that Saleh was planning on firing the offensive coordinator.
Oh, he was?
Yes.
Okay.
And then the owner came. That's why he said he was totally shocked when they escorted him out the building. But his adjustment was he was going to fire Aaron Rodgers' best friend, the offensive coordinator. That was going to be his adjustment. It didn't happen.
So the owner picked Rodgers over Saleh?
Of course.
Yeah. Should he have? At 40?
He had no choice. He had no choice.
Why, though?
Well, he had a choice. This was his choice.
I get you. But
No. His choice was to wait out the season to see if they could make the playoffs and then firing. And then it wouldn't have made it look like he chose the quarterback over the coach because this might be the last year for both of them.
But
so I'm not going to say the owner, Mr. Johnson, chose Aaron Rodgers over the coach.
But the problem is you still got the same quarterback. You still got the same players. And I think didn't they also remove the offensive coordinator? He's not fired, but he's not calling the plays.
No, somebody else is going to call the plays, and you're going up to the booth.
Correct. So we're not getting rid of you. Aaron's friend's still there.
So first of all, Aaron Rodgers lost more power in this.
Okay.
Because his buddy is not calling the plays. So he's got an unfamiliar voice that's going to be in his ear dictating what they must do, which in turn, they're going to run the ball more, and they're going to do more play action immediately. You're going to see that in the first quarter. You're going to be like, wow, this is a different team.
Yeah.
Because of the philosophy.
But in the other option would have been to say, if you go to Aaron and you go, hey, man, this scheme ain't working. We don't care what you like or don't like. Here's what we're going to do. Is Aaron Rodgers a guy, in your opinion, you're hypothesizing, that gets on board with that?
No, because he only knows one system. Like, he's a great talent, but he's only played in one system. That's all he knows. And he thinks that system is everything, and it's not.
I'll tell you what, you can make a lot of money doing things just one way if you're successful at it, I guess. All right. That makes sense, and I appreciate it. Doesn't make complete sense to me. What you're saying makes sense, but I get it. I just don't understand why it's like,
This is the thing, Shawn. It don't matter if it makes sense. That's what happened.
I know.
So what you do is take the end result and make sense of it. And that, when you have a 40-year-old quarterback who is Aaron Rodgers, who one of his best friends is the offensive coordinator, who he has a history with in Green Bay, yes, this is the only option.
Yeah, and I'm just saying, if I'm the owner, I'm like, hey, listen, Aaron, this ain't working. You're going to have to figure it out with Robert, your coach over here, but it ain't working. And, hey, hack it, whatever. You got it. This scheme ain't working.
Yeah, they downplayed that the owner had a conversation with Aaron Rodgers the night before. And he said he didn't bring this up.
He had a conversation with Aaron Rodgers about removing the head coach and the offensive coordinator going to the booth. He didn't talk to them about it at all. They talked about everything else.
Yes.
So why lie and disrespect us all? Like, don't say anything. Don't even bring up the meeting. I'll tell you what. I guess I should own an NFL team. All right.
I wish you would.
Yeah, I'll tell you what. I'm thinking about it. I'm going to have to hire you.
Hey, listen. Don't spend any more money. Save up.
And we're ready.
Yes.
What a great business model.
Yes.
Because you can, trip on yourself and still make a boatload of money. I like it. All right. You talked about the Vikings. Talk to us about how good are the Minnesota Vikings. They're undefeated. Mm-hmm. They come off a bye week. But how good is this football team?
They're solid all the way through the team. Special teams, got a great kicker, distance over 50 yards. They have a huge home field advantage in playing in U.S. Bank Stadium there in Minneapolis. Their defense is one of one. Like when you play them, you're not going to see another model. Denver's not playing this. The Eagles aren't playing it. So it becomes hard to adjust. If you look at the quarterbacks, excuse me, Daniel Jones, week number 1, totally confused. In each game, the first half of the game, the Vikings, they were confusing the opposition. C.J. Stroud, Brock Purdy, all of them were totally confused in the first half of the game. So to me, Brian Flores is the number 1 candidate to be a head coach, him and Ben Johnson, the offensive coordinator of Detroit. But their ability to confuse you, sack you, and the number of interceptions, I think they got 11 or 12 interceptions, leading the league in sacks. Like, that's a tough combination. And then they have a very good offensive line. They can run the ball. They can play action. The wild card is 2 things. Aaron Jones, he hurt his hip in London. Is it severe? Is he going to miss a significant amount of time? Because the drop-off at running back it's a huge drop-off. And then Sam Darnold. Sam didn't play well in London, but the Vikings were still able to win. How many of those games average is he going to play? Because if you look at Sam Darnold during training camp, J.J. McCarthy was outplaying him. So what Kevin O'Connell, the head coach there, has done in getting the best month and a half out of Sam Darnold his whole career, I do believe that can be duplicated because T.J. Hawkinson, all-pro tight end, hadn't played all year. He's coming back this week against Detroit. Justin Jefferson is the best receiver in the NFL. And Jordan Addison, first-round pick from last year, is a great complement wide receiver. So their ability to put pressure on the defense, and even though I mentioned everything about their defense, they're a balanced team. They're not just a defense team. So they can win more fights in different styles than a lot of other teams. And then also, Aiden Hutchinson breaking his leg.
I know.
The defensive beast for the Detroit Lions, University of Michigan. I mean, he snapped his leg like a twig. And he's going to be out for the year. And he's their best defensive player. And to me, you can attack Detroit's defense. So that's going to hurt them. So to me, that's why the Minnesota Vikings should be talked about in the breath of some of the best teams that we have in the NFL.
And they can win a Super Bowl with Darnold with that team.
Yes, teams have done it.
Got it.
Yeah, teams have done it, and especially when you have the offensive skilled players that they have. Like, that makes a quarterback so much better instantly.
So who's your biggest surprise? I know we're only, a month and change into the season. The most underperforming team for you right now in the NFL, you're like, man, I know it's early, but damn, I thought this team would be better than they are.
Cincinnati Bengals.
Got it.
I thought they would be a lot better. And now you're starting to hear some information as far as Joe Burrow, when he broke his wrist, that he doesn't necessarily have the same velocity on his ball now, because when he snaps it, he said it's not all the way, and it's about nerves regenerating. Eventually he'll be back to 100%, but I heard that yesterday in the telecast, and it was like, we don't have a lot of elite quarterbacks who break their wrist on their throwing arm, so let's watch this and see where it goes. But between them and the Dallas Cowboys, those are the biggest disappointments in the 2024 season.
The Cowboys, did you think before the season started, you thought they legitimately had a chance to be a playoff team?
I thought they would be fighting for a wild card. I didn't think they were going to be the best team in their division, but I thought that they would be around 10-7, 11-6, that they would be, man, they are treading water for 500.
They got drummed yesterday.
Yeah, and that could happen several games throughout the season.
So what's the biggest problem with them?
They didn't change from last year. This is basically the same team from last year that couldn't stop the run, and then they gave all the money to the quarterback and wide receiver and disregarded offensive line, disregarded running back. I mean, they had a chance to sign Derrick Henry. Have you seen him?
Yeah. He's a monster, bro.
I mean, born a monster.
You seen him the first play a couple weeks ago outrun everybody as big as he is?
I mean, they had an opportunity to have him in the backfield with their skilled players, and now you see how it carries over to Baltimore and what Lamar is doing and their wide receivers. Baltimore's got a special offense because of that. So when you try to stay pat and think that, okay, if I bring back the same team, I'm going to get better, no, the defense is not as good. They got a new voice in there, Mike Zimmer, the defensive coordinator. He's been out of football off and on the last couple years. It doesn't seem like his voice is being heard by the ears there. So, to me, Dallas, it's going to be an ugly, ugly season. Coach is in the last year of his contract. Mm-hmm. Let me tell you what you can't do. You can't be a leader and then give the quarterback $230 million guaranteed. Mm-hmm. So the coach probably got $7 or $8 million guaranteed.
Yep.
I got $230 guaranteed. Mm-hmm. Guess who the boss is?
I'm in charge. I'm in charge.
Regardless of what you say.
I got $250 million. I'm in charge.
Did you see the press conference, Dak, yesterday? Oh, my gosh. It's like, oh, I'm not a panic guy. No, you got $230 million. Of course you're not panic. But when you were on your first contract.
You were a panic guy.
Yeah, if you lost a game like this, you came to the podium different. So now, CD Lamb, both of them earned it. But I'm just trying to tell you how you set up the locker room. You set up that coach to fail because he does not have the same voice. Defensively, Mike Zimmer takes over the defense for a head coach in his last year. Guess what, Mike Zimmer knows he don't have the same voice that he had in Cincinnati, in Minnesota. So he can't be the authoritative voice that he typically is. So this was set up to fail, not unless you get off to some unbelievable start, scoring a lot of points, and then now with the injuries on that defense, they won't be able to recover. Like, it's time to panic now.
And Jerry Jones will run this team until he decides to what? Till he leaves this earth? Like, he's going to be in charge and not give it to anybody else from a GM standpoint. He's just going to keep doing it. Tell
me something. Have you ever seen a worse birthday party for a billionaire?
No. Then to get drummed.
I invite all these people in here.
Yeah.
I mean, I don't know if he's looked at the economy. I don't know if he's going to buy eggs or milk or anything lately, but
I bet he has not.
Gas.
I would bet he's not got milk, bread, or gas.
Stuff is tight, man.
Yeah.
So now I'm spending, as a consumer, my hard-earned money. I done 50 hours this week, 60 hours. I'm getting ready to go in Dallas and watch my team. And then they show up like that? Like, man, that's not cool at all. And then the players afterwards, not mad?
No.
Not upset?
But, dude, as a fan, and I've said this, I do a lot of meetings in Texas, and I'll get them to talk, and I try to get people to understand how to manage their own business and be accountable. Mm-hmm. And I go, dude, when do you think it will change? Like, when Steinbrenner and the Yankees, then the kid came in, it was just like, nobody cares anymore. Well, guess what? When people stop going, and people stop buying the shit, everybody seems to care. And I'm not saying it's going to happen in the NFL. You've convinced me the NFL is this freaking enigma of a business that just does this.
That's all.
That just does this. It doesn't matter. Incompetence has been tried for decades.
If you look at everything that they've been through over the last 10 years, let's say some of the most horrific stuff. Let's say the Ray Rice, when he's in the elevator.
Oh, yeah, beat.
Like people brutal. Like, oh, man, I'm never going to watch this game.
Didn't miss a beat.
And then we had the Colin Kaepernick over the flag. Yep. Okay, what's honorable? What's not honorable? Yep. People split on that. Yep. We had Deflategate.
Yep.
We had people filming other people. Like, we've had Bountygate with the Saints.
Correct.
Like, man, we've had some stuff go on.
And people keep showing up.
And the product is unbelievable.
Dude, I went to – my son wanted to watch some games yesterday, so I went to watch them, and I realized not only that, but this whole damn fantasy football thing, oh, my God.
Fantasy football and the gambling.
But I'm just saying, like, all that, the bets and the guy.
Yes.
Every game's now important. It's not just my team. I got my Packers jersey, but I got him on my fantasy team, him on my fantasy team. I got a parlay over here. Everything I'm doing, because to me,
even when I came into the league at the beginning of fantasy, I have so many people tell me, hey, man, you were on my squad.
Yes.
I'm a Denver Broncos fan. The popularity of the game and the tentacles, the way it attaches to.
And how it draws you in. Brilliant. But, I mean, that's why when you say something like about the owner, I'm like it's like what is it, Johnson's at the owner of the Jets? He was talking about Hassan Reddick. See that? Yeah. And he's like, you need to get in your car and come down 95. It's like, bro, pay him. Like, you know how you get him to show up? Pay him. He wants a long-term contract.
Look,
pay him.
He has the ability as an owner to make his team better in 30 seconds.
But he wants the guy to get in a car and come down and play for a team that's barely treading water and not give him a long-term contract, which is what he wants.
Look, when you trade for a player in his last year, and the guy's 29, and the guy has multiple 10-sack seasons, multiple Pro Bowl seasons.
He's a dog, yep.
And you don't have a guy like that on your roster, guess what? When you trade for him, the general manager, when you trade for him, it's okay, how long are we going to be tied to this guy?
Correct.
Because we have to sign him to an extension. It's idiotic thinking you can trade for a guy in his prime and not. You've already lost the draft compensation. You're not going to have that player. So sign this player, put him on the team. Your quarterback's 40.
Yeah.
He needs – Aaron Rodgers gets better if you sign Hassan Reddick.
100%.
Immediately.
But you think that you're able to just get on, make a comment, tweet something out, isn't that more insulting to the player? Like, you pay me.
Yeah.
You know what I want.
The whole problem is he's a son in the Johnson & Johnson empire, and it don't make a damn difference.
Yeah, I know.
It don't make a difference.
Dude, you can't mess this thing up.
I'm sorry,
because
but it don't make a difference.
Incompetence has been tried for 50, 60, 70 years. If you had to pick a Super Bowl matchup right now, who would it be? Cris Carter had to say, you know what, man, when I go, where's Super Bowl this year? Where is it, you know?
New Orleans.
Okay, New Orleans. You got to go to New Orleans. Who do you, Cris Carter, and you think, man, I roll in there. I would not be surprised. I'd pick these two right now. I think I'll see them.
Kansas City and Minnesota.
Really?
I'd love to see it.
I know you'd love, but you think that can happen?
Oh, yeah. If that happens, I'm out there for the coin toss.
My man.
You got that Ziggy Wolf and the Wolf family, Cris Carter, in the Super Bowl in New Orleans. I'm out there for the coin toss.
They know where to find you.
Yes.
That'd be great. And I'm not betting against Mahomes to get there again. There ain't no way I'm betting against that. I'm not betting against Andy Reid.
They can win so many different ways. And I wouldn't be surprised if they made a blockbuster trade for a wide receiver to give them some help.
Yeah.
Because there's some wide receivers available.
Is there really going to be a Super Bowl outside the United States of America?
Man, what I keep telling you.
The Super Bowl.
Listen, if you're going to hang around me, you're going to have to get smarter about this stuff.
I'm hearing you.
Okay?
I'm hearing you. I'm not buying it.
Why are we playing games abroad? Come on, what's the business model?
I get how massive this is internationally. I get it. I get what you're all trying to do. I get what the NFL is trying to do. I get what they're doing. I get how magical it is with all the people in the world. It's not 300 million to the U.S. You get everybody. Right. They're going to take the crown
jewel.
The crown jewel is the best way to put it. Of any sporting event in any year in the United States of America, the American game of football, National Football League, will play their Super Bowl abroad.
It's all just a ploy, man. We have all these international partners. London, Germany, Tokyo. Now we're in Brazil, Mexico. Don't you know the collective bargaining agreement is coming up in 4 years? Guess what? All those TV sets in those countries get applied to the new collective bargaining agreement.
I get the money. I get that part.
That's all it is. Man,
how crazy it is.
Bro, do you realize that insane it would be if we opened it up? Any country, Dubai, anybody can buy a Shaw, a king, a queen. Yeah. Anybody could buy it? No, and then we're going to give away one of America's treasures? No. And I'm not going.
So it's not going to happen.
It's not going to happen.
Then why they keep talking about it? Just because? I think there's zero chance it could ever happen. Just because it's what they do?
Okay. When I was playing ball, we played preseason in Tokyo.
Okay.
We played in London. We played in
Did you enjoy doing that?
It's all part of the gig.
But did you enjoy doing it?
No.
Okay.
Because it's not good for my body in training camp to be traveling 7-8 hours to a few different time zones.
But it's part of the deal. Okay?
It's part of the deal. Then they plan to see, we're going to have an NFL team abroad. Now, just for numbers' sake, we're at 32 teams. So they can't add one team. They have to add two. It has to always be an even number.
Okay,
right?
makes sense.
All right, you can't have
got that
17
part.
teams in the AFC, 16 teams.
Totally get that.
You can't
mess your math up. Can't have the bye weeks. The schedule. I get you.
So that's not going to happen in the next 10 years because we don't have enough quarterbacks. Eventually, when we expanded Carolina, Jacksonville, and them, we thought that was it. That was because the quarterback. If you don't have 32 quarterbacks that can put a product out there, and we got about 25 now, 20 to 25.
Quarterbacks that can put a product out there.
Yes.
That's it.
Legitimate.
Okay.
Because when you look at franchises, you can't have 10 franchises be like, hey, man, we need a quarterback.
Okay.
Because it will affect the product.
So you can't water it down that much. There are only so many quarterbacks.
No. We're going to have a franchise abroad. How long have we been telling that lie?
So it's just going to keep fucking smoke, blow the smoke, get people excited, get people watching it. They're too stupid to know any better. We're going to keep saying it.
The Wizard of Oz. You used to like watching that? The Wizard of Oz?
Not really, but I know what you're talking about.
Okay, it was always one of my favorites. And the reason why was because there was all this smoke, huff and puff, this guy behind the curtain, but it just happened to be a little short guy.
When you pull it up. But by the way, that's the NFL. Them are the owners right there, the little short guy. That's why I can't understand it. In the real world, outside of there, you can't fuck up like this and keep making money. You just can't. It's impossible.
That's Roger Goodell calling right now.
If it's Roger Goodell, we're not answering.
Hey, Raj, we got to tell the people the truth about the product. You get me, dog. We're
doing the best we can, bro.
I got love for you, but there's flaws.
That's why I can't understand it. All right. Weirdest thing I saw on Sunday was Nick. Is it Sirianni? Am I saying it right? The Eagles coach. They beat the Browns, and they're chanting the fire, so which in Philly, and I get it. And he starts screaming and yelling and holding his ear up to the fans after they beat the Browns. Dude, help me understand how that helps you, your relationship with the fans, your relationship with the players, or the owners.
To me, Nick Sirianni is the worst coach in the NFL.
Okay.
Now, not X's and O's wide.
Okay.
Now, he led the team to the Super Bowl 2 years ago.
Yep.
But he loses the press conference every single week.
Okay.
Also, look at a clip. He's got his kids in
I know, I saw that. Now, why did he do that?
I have no idea.
He made an ass of himself. Then he want to come in a press conference and act like, well, you gave me a false start. I'm a family man. Don't attack me now. I know I'm showed. Instead of coming in and going, what I did was pathetically immature and stupid. I get why the fans are saying fire me. We're underperforming. But so he loses press conference every time.
Right. So, first of all, I got to say this. I was drafted by Philadelphia.
Okay.
I played 3 years in Philadelphia.
That I remember.
There was a game in my second year I was starting, and Randall Cunningham and I are warming up on the sideline behind the bench. And a fan is cussing at Randall. He's got on all green. He's fucking painted up. He's, Cunningham, you suck. This is before the game.
He's an Eagles fan.
Oh, green is green.
And Randall's the starting quarterback.
And Randall is the starting quarterback.
Okay.
Now, bro, I'm from Ohio State, man.
Yeah.
I mean, we got 100,000 in there.
Yeah.
And let me tell you what their booing is. They won't say nothing.
Correct.
If they let you know.
But they're not cheering, but they ain't booing you.
I'm catching the ball. I'm tossing it to him. Guy's like, Cunningham, you suck. And the guy didn't say nothing to me, but I mean, he might as well be saying it to me because he's saying it to my quarterback.
Correct.
I'm like, damn, man, we got to overcome all this, and this is a home game. Man,
he's on our side. Right, that guy's allegedly on our side. Yeah.
Like, this is different. And it was one of the things that, as a pro athlete, it lets you know. People say, well, the athlete is all about the business. Well, everything is about the business.
That right?
And you can see it. So that is the temperament of the Eagles fans since they started playing football. It's the temperament of people on the East Coast. If you look at Giants fans,
I'm an East
Jets
Coast
fans,
I'm an East Coast
New
guy.
England fans, they're all relatively the same. Now, Philadelphia, they bring a little more spice to it.
Yeah, they do.
They make it a little more, in your face. So that's different. He knows that. He's had success there. You're not going to ever win that battle. The Browns might be the worst team in the league, You're barely beating them.
And you're going to talk shit to your own fans because you beat the Browns?
To a guy that might have been working in a factory.
Correct. True.
Might have spent his whole check.
To get to that game, buy 2 beers and a hot dog.
And then you're on your high horse, you're making $7, $8, $9 million a year, and you're going to tell him after the game? No. He should be out of there.
And he's going to be
I've been saying this for 2 or 3 weeks.
Why does he lose when you say he's the worst coach in the NFL, not X's and O's necessarily, explain that in more detail.
He loses the press conference because the press conference is an ability for you to speak to the fans and your team. Dennis Green used to tell us, when I speak to the press, I'm speaking to you.
Got it.
So you need to know that. So he'll give us a heads up before. Okay. Hey, I'm going to talk about the defense. I'm going to talk about inability to get to a quarterback. So when you get home, you and your wife, you ain't shocked.
Correct.
That's
leadership. There you go. That's leadership.
And typically, the coach tells you, I'm not going to say anything that I wouldn't say to your face.
Yeah.
So when you're not doing that, that's why I say he's the worst coach in the league. He loses the press conference. Even when they win the game, he loses the press conference every single week.
That's impressive to win the game and still fuck up a press conference.
Yes. Yes. He thinks he's a better coach than what he is. And losing the offensive and defensive coordinators the last 2 years, you can see it affecting the product, and it's really affected the quarterback more so than anybody else.
Correct. Well, I agree with you.
Last sidebar. Kelsey, they miss his leadership because he's a grown man.
Yeah.
He would not allow some of that stuff, and he would either correct it to be able to say stuff to the team. They're really going to miss him, not only on all-pro center, but all-pro leader of grown men.
Who was the best leader you played with? Player in your locker room that did that, whether you're younger, older, whatever you were in your career.
The best leader had to be Reggie White or Warren Moon. Warren Moon better than Reggie because Warren practiced so hard and was such a perfectionist.
Really? But he stopped all that bullshit. None of that happened when Warren was around.
Oh, yeah. I tried to yell at Warren for not throwing me the ball, and he was like, listen, you ever do that again, I'll bury you in this offense.
Really? Yeah. Got it.
Yes, sir.
Got it.
No problem. Guess what?
Eagles ain't got that.
When I went to yell, I'd be like, not you, move over. I'm talking to that guy.
I'm not talking to Warren. But bite the hand that feeds.
Excuse me, I'm a little under the weather.
All right, but you're fighting through it, man. College football. First I was at a game the other day, and I caught myself because this dude was laying on the ground, and I've been raised to be very player, coach. Like when somebody's hurt, whether you're on my team or not, you get your ass up. Like I just respect that. And I caught myself going, he's not hurt. Because so many people in college football, because I watch it, and I'm like, that's weird, because all of a sudden he's fine. Mm-hmm. What is happening? Like, is it the offense move too fast? The coaches? Is there going to be something the NCAA can do about it?
Nope.
Nothing at all.
The only thing they can do in the last 2 minutes of the game, potentially take away a timeout, give you a warning. I think the first thing to do is give you a warning. Next thing, either a 15-yard penalty or a timeout. But they have to be able to give you a warning. It's just like if I'm a wide receiver and I'm not up to the line of scrimmage, the referee's going to warn me. He's going to be like, get up.
Yeah.
If not, I'm going to call it next time. Offensive tackle, if he's in the backfield, he's going to say, I'm going to give you a warning. So you have to be able to do things like that. But pro football, Buddy Ryan, he was notorious for doing it in the 90s. But the college game is a lot faster than NFL. Not the speed of the players, the way the game is administered, because most colleges are no huddle.
Correct.
So when I get tackled in college, I go to the nearest hash mark and I give the ball to the official to mark it.
Yeah.
And 99% of those guys, and they're not huddling.
Correct.
So they go to their position.
You're going, yeah.
Now, there's a tremendous advantage to defensive football, and that is the substitution. Yeah. Offensive guy, we got 5 offensive linemen. They're playing every snap.
Yeah.
If I can rotate, the big schools, Alabama, Ohio State, Michigan, their defensive linemen are probably the best ones playing 40 snaps.
Yeah.
Against 70.
Yeah.
So
They'll wear you out.
The only way I can slow them down is, hammy.
So is that just part of the game? Is Cris Carter okay with that being part of the game?
I'm okay with it because you can't tell if a guy is hurt or not.
100%. And nobody, what ref's going to make that call? You're faking it. There's no way.
It's like one of these calls. Okay, now as you could see, the Oregon game. Oregon, it was 10 seconds left to go in the game. Yeah. Oregon substitute and puts in 12 defensive players.
Yeah.
They know it's going to be a penalty, but they're pretty much ensuring that you're not going to get the score a touchdown.
Correct.
So they don't mind the 5-yard penalty.
5 yards good. Yeah.
So right now there is no penalty. So until they change that, you're going to see the game being affected by potential fake injuries in college because that's the only way to slow them down.
What about the one where defensive player's walking, he's 100% fine. Somebody on ESPN was like, well, they got to have a camera. I'm like, they're not going to follow a camera to have some guy go take a dive. There's still no rule, though. There's no penalty.
No.
And isn't that the offensive Chip Kelly back to whenever they all started this, sped this game up? And the only shot you're saying the defense has got has been like, man, we got to slow them down at some point in time.
I mean, at the convention, you're going to have to come up with something. And it's going to probably be based on in the last 2 minutes of the game. There's nothing you can do in the first quarter, second quarter. Like late in the game, if someone takes an injury, you can either penalize them or with a timeout or yardage.
So Oregon, Ohio State had a great game. Alabama almost lost again. South Carolina was a really good game late. Georgia got through. Penn State, USC. I mean, it is every game.
It's up in the air.
Yeah. Do you like that, where we are now in college football?
Because it's more like the NFL.
Yeah.
That's the way the NFL is. The popularity, not only gambling, not only fantasy, but you don't know.
Correct.
Like, you don't know who's going to win. And having teams that are superior, that being Georgia, that being Alabama, some of the way we've had it the last 5 years, it's a better system now with more people having a legitimate opportunity to win a championship.
Best teams and, a playoff's going to let a lot of people in. It's going to be very interesting. It's going to be awesome to watch because, like you said, it's going to be a toss-up with all these teams that get in. Texas still, blew out Oklahoma. Who do you think the top 4 teams are in college football right now?
Oregon, Texas, Ohio State, and Alabama.
Those are your top 4?
Yeah.
I think we could see them in the semifinals and that, depending on how all sets out, obviously, with the scheduling. But
yeah, well, the championship, only one of those teams, Oregon, Ohio State,
correct,
and then SEC, Texas, Alabama. So that's going to be great because whoever doesn't win, they're going to have to play that first round.
How is it for, let's say Ohio State, you're an Ohio State guy. Now that they've let these teams in, conference-wise, in different time zones, is that a big deal?
Oh, yeah, absolutely.
Well,
imagine traveling a couple different time zones.
Yeah. I do it, and I ain't playing it. It'll wear on you.
Let's do this. Penn State. Penn State now, because if they're going to the West Coast, the plane that they would have to take is a bigger plane. So they can't fly that plane from where the university is.
They have the airport, bigger airport.
They have
bigger
to go
strip.
to Harrisburg.
Got it. Okay.
Longer runway.
Makes
bigger
sense.
plane. It's an hour away.
Okay.
So it adds a little bit
to
the trip. So even someone like Penn State that basically has unlimited resources, there's still a difference in traveling student athletes several different time zones when they have an event to compete in.
Yeah, it's. You started looking at some of those time zones and watching. I can imagine the toll it takes on you. All right.
Hey, sweetie, I'm doing my podcast.
That was not Roger Goodell.
Yeah.
All right. Before we wrap up, I want to ask you about. I'm flipping through and I'm watching the Saints, Bucks, and I see Spencer Rattler out there,
Mm-hmm.
who I like when he's in college, excited. I think he finished up at South Carolina.
Yep.
And watching for these guys, and it's early, but I'm like, you talked about there being 20, 25, whatever guys they're coming to see. Some of these other young guys are getting a chance to play.
Mm-hmm.
Who do you see out of that next group that you're like, man, like Bo Nix? Like, are there any other guys? And I'm not saying Spencer's one of them. I just watched him play, did okay, you know. Who are a couple that you think might break into that? Man, they can lead a team and they're going to be fun to watch. Obviously, we got the kid at Washington, Jay. That's a no-brainer. But some of the ones that maybe people aren't
think
thinking of.
that might be the most difficult question that you might have ever asked me.
I'm getting smarter then.
And the reason why, it's a smart question. The reason why is because we know the struggle at the top of the draft. Mm-hmm. Like, we know these guys are going to struggle. Now, Caleb Williams, he has unbelievable game in London. He has the best game of his career.
Yep.
The last 3 weeks, he's been trending. But
Correct.
he was named the starter on day one. And now he's just now starting to. Mm-hmm. So now these other second, third, fourth round, can you catch lightning in the bottle? Josh Purdy with San Francisco. Do you have a roster around you like he had? Mm-hmm. That he can have growing pains because he could rely on the defense and he could rely on the running game.
Yeah, right spot.
So
He's in the right spot.
It becomes hard, you know. Tennessee, you know, is that guy? Is he really there? Denver with Sean Payton, is he good enough? Like, that is the toughest position in sports.
I agree.
Let alone when you're not drafted high. So it's easier to be a mid-round draft pick and play receiver, play guard, because you don't have the emphasis on I have to manage the whole game.
Correct.
I think it's still better for them to sit. So right now, no, I don't see anyone. I mean, Spencer Rattler, they were behind, so he had some decent yards and everything, completions. I think he had 22 completions. But, man, they got beat by basically 30 points.
Correct. Get killed.
So it's the hardest position. It's the hardest to evaluate. And we see the top players, you know, Drake May, he's just now starting to get some run there in New England. So that's the toughest position to evaluate draft. And definitely the smartest, best question you ever. Who wrote that down for you?
I did. I'm on.
Let me check your notes.
I'll tell you when I fail. I got lucky, bro.
I'm gonna have to check. the tape.
I get lucky every once in a while.
No, that's a hell of a question. Because if you can do that on a regular basis, you're totally wiping out the competition. Mm-hmm. If you can use a mid-draft pick to be able to turn someone into a Kirk Cousins, you know, third or fourth round pick. It's hard to do. It's hard to do and only done a few times well.
Monday Night Football tonight, starting in a few minutes. Bills, Jets, new interim coach. Aaron, who do you like?
I like the Jets. I know I must be crazy. And the reason why Buffalo's starting to have some injuries. Mm-hmm. And their offense is the quarterback. The first few games, they're like, oh, man, they don't need Stephon Diggs. They need a wide receiver.
Yeah, they do.
They need a wide receiver. Their tight end is nice and everything. Cook at running back, he's nice. But this is the quarterback. And I do believe that the Jets, after the disappointment, I do believe they'll be more physical. And the Jets' defense is pretty good, man. Mm-hmm. Like, let's rely on the defense. Aaron Rodgers make 3 or 4 throws. Like, their wide receivers got to get open. I did not like the lack of separation the Jets' wide receivers had against the Vikings. I'm going for the Jets tonight. They're going to get after Buffalo.
You heard it here. Jets tonight, likes the Vikings and the Chiefs. Loves
huge game next
Texas,
week. Detroit at Minnesota.
Loves Oregon, Texas, Ohio State, Alabama.
Yes.
Detroit
Top
at Minnesota.
4 right now.
Can Detroit win that game?
Man, Detroit can beat anybody in the NFL.
You like Minnesota,
Detroit,
though.
but I like Minnesota.
You're going to like Minnesota no matter what.
No, not Minnesota. And I'll shoot it straight, bro. If we were doing a podcast the last 3 years, I wouldn't have been on here talking like that.
Well, you couldn't have been.
Unless I was crazy. I could. No, I could do some crazy stuff.
Then we wonder what was happening with you. Because there's been some things in the past.
I try to keep it 100, man.
You do keep
1,000.
You do keep it 100.
Keep it 1,000, Coach.
There ain't no doubt about it. Well, hey, we appreciate you. If you are in the Palm Beach area and you want to come see Cris Carter, myself, we'll be at an event. October 23rd. We'll get the information drop. Please share, like, subscribe. I do appreciate you always keeping it 100. I appreciate your takes on everything we're talking about today. We appreciate you more than you can ever believe, and thanks for everything y'all do.